Oh, we are here. We are brewing some tea. We got some Maui mango tea today. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on. That's not the right one either. There we go. Oh, me and Andrew have had a crazy busy day, but we're here. We've got a whole prepped call for you guys to show you how to think like a seven-figure entrepreneur. We're going to go over the mindset shifts. We're going to show you how we used to think as beginner entrepreneurs and how over time we have shifted into thinking like seven-figure earners and have developed the business to back that up as well. So how you feeling, Andrew?
Feeling good, man. It's been a bit of a hectic day, actually.
Absolutely.
One of those days I got up and I had things planned, and one of those days where we are going to talk about today, by the way, end of the show, you're going to know exactly not only how to think like seven-figure entrepreneurs, the actions to take to begin that mindset, because how we think dictates who we become, but also the actions that you can take to get your business closer to that level. All right. Now, today has been one of those days. I got up, I had a plan, I had a calendar, and it changed. Several things have came up where I had to jump in, but that's what partners do. Jumped in. Leo covering some stuff for me. I cover some stuff for him, and we just flowing. So
we just flowing.
Good to be here.
So give us some grace as we tackle this topic and really go deep into this. But the question that I want to start with is, why do most entrepreneurs stay stuck? And the simplest, easiest answer to it is that they still think small. They don't allow themselves to go beyond the thoughts and vision for their life, and they focus on money instead of wealth. So today, me and Andrew are going to be breaking those mindset shifts that separate the seven-figure earners from the rest.
Yeah.
And why is it seven figures? I always thought, hey, what does seven figures even mean? What does that? Does that mean you make $1 million? Does it mean you're a millionaire? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And I like to categorize it as a mentality. When you look at all the people who make millions of dollars and who keep millions of dollars,
Yeah.
what are their habits? How do they think? How do they act? Right? So that is going to be today's topic, is going over how to think like a seven-figure entrepreneur.
So I think it's important to note, as we begin our entrepreneurial journey, I thought, oh my gosh, if I could create $1 million in a year in revenue, I'd be rich. And then I realized that's only true if you keep a good portion of it. And so creating it is one thing, but multiplying it or being able to turn it to profit is another thing. And I mention this because there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, basically build a team, go with somebody. And you often hear me say, I was made for partnership. For me, I know that we are way better together. I know that I wouldn't be where I am if we hadn't have partnered up. And so being able to take ownership of where you are, and if you want to go far, go together. But it means you have to have the right people. Now, today, one of the mindsets we're going to be getting into is talking a little bit about delegation and talking a little bit about how to leverage your time. So what are we covering, Leo?
So we got something very important for you guys. And me and Andrew, we sat together and we asked ourselves, what's been the biggest shifts for us?
Yeah.
The 3 biggest mindset shifts for us. And we're going to share it with you guys and break it down. But my biggest ask for you guys is that you just take notes. You type it in the chat. We have it in front of us so we know you're here. We know who's here. And actually, before I jump into the mindset shifts, the 3, I want to shout out some of you guys for being here. Shout out Jerry.
What's up, brother?
Shout out Tammy. By the way, guys,
Tammy.
type it in the chat, 1 out of 10. How are you feeling? I'm at an 8.5 rising to a 10. So probably by the end of this show, I'll be a 10. We got Jerry. We got Bill. We got Marlon. What is up? So I'm going to jump in, and we have the 3 biggest mindset shifts that I want to focus on. Number 1 is leverage over hustle. Number 2 is pressure is a privilege. And number 3 is going from cost to investment. So diving in, the hustler mentality versus the investor mentality is one that I want you guys to think about. So everyone type in the chat, leverage over hustle. How most beginner entrepreneurs think, how I used to think, is if I just work more hours, if I work harder, then I'll make more money. Until I started to realize that seven-figure earners, and when I started to think in this format of if I build the proper systems, if I hire the right people, if I build the right assets, and I leverage correctly, then I'll make more money with less effort.
Right. I think it's big to note, there's a hustler mentality, which is many times as we're starting in the business, that's what we do, right? We go out and do whatever it takes. We're scrappy. That's how we make money. But once we can shift to the investor mentality, hustlers trade time for money, and investors trade money for time. And I think that's important to note as we are looking at our businesses, as you're building your business, whatever stage you're at in your business, is saying, how can I make sure that I'm leveraging my money for time, buying back time, rather than leveraging my time for money? Now, that being said, of course, there's times where you're going to go put in work to create some now money, to take care of today's needs, to take care of this month's costs. Something that I grew up saying or hearing was, if you want it done right, do it yourself. And I changed that to, if I want it done, delegate it. And I share that because that was a tough one for me, because I can be a bit of a control freak. I want it done. I want it done right. I'll do it myself. And so changing it to saying, okay, who can I delegate to? How can I help someone else achieve their goals in such a way that it serves my growth while helping them achieve theirs? How do I align with people that by helping them achieve their goals, it helps me also get closer to mine? So, for example, this was a tough one for me. What if instead of doing the thing myself, what if instead of going to the title company and signing the documents,
Right,
I could have somebody to either do it for me, or I could have a mobile notary come to me? That was a crazy thought when I started this business. I was skipping out trips and seminars and places I wanted to go and connects I wanted to make because I had to be at home closing deals, negotiating deals, signing contracts. Of course, now we do it all online. Or take that to something different. Maybe you are posting videos online. What if instead of you taking time to make the perfect video and spending hours or a very long time working on the darn thing, you said, I'm going to hire an editor. I'm going to find somebody who's competent and capable in this way, and I'm going to hand it to them. And if it causes me to be able to get twice as much done, to post twice as many videos, to close twice as many deals, even if it's not quite exactly like I would do it, maybe, just maybe, there's something to this delegation thing. So start to understand, how exactly can I be an investor? How can I make money and make that money work for me?
I was laughing a little bit earlier because this advice, it's so pure, it's so true, and we utilize it on any given day.
Yeah.
But one thing that we have not utilized it is for this show, because we're taking on 5 different job roles with this, because it's all in our studio. And
by the way, I done a Zoom the other day. You're set up over there on your side of the desk, if you will. And I told the Zoom crew that I was doing the Zoom with, I said, I don't know how the heck you do that. There's 3 cameras. There's 15 buttons on that little switcher alone. You got the computer. You got the slides. You've got the software. You've got the mics. You've got the audio, the whole little switcher board down here. Like, I don't know how you run all that and teach. Like, that is definitely a delegatable job, but you're sharp. I don't know how you do it, bro.
we will hire someone incredible to take over that. But that is us utilizing this, right? We are so not perfect, and we've had to learn this over and over and over again, because as you grow, so many more hats need to be worn, and you need to hire new people for that. So for this live show,
speaking of hats, it's the first day.
Oh, Truka hat.
Check it out.
There you go. So when I first started to understand this for my content, I would spend 4 or 5 hours editing something because of my perfectionist mentality that I used to have.
I remember those
And I would sit down in a little Asian squat on my phone, and I would edit that thing until perfection, and then it would flop. It would get like 20 views, 20 likes, a couple thousand views, but it would flop. And I would be so
Just so you know, that's a flop to you. A couple thousand views to me. Like, I've gone viral, man. I'm like 268 views. Let's go.
I would be super discouraged because I spent so much time on it, and it's something that you put a lot of time, effort into it and hoping that it grows and it does really well. But the moment that I realized that I could spend 4 to 10 hours editing a video, or I could hire someone else to use their time to edit, someone who loves to edit so much, while I can use my 4 to 10 hours doing sales calls, bringing in an extra couple $100,000 for that month. Which one's gonna be better?
Right.
Right? I started to understand what it meant to think like an investor with your time, with your money, with your relationships, with all the things that cross over.
I want to add something there. Type it in the chat. What's the highest and best use of my time? Highest and best use of my time. I think this is a powerful frame as you're becoming the next level of business owner. As you're stepping into that next level, to stop doing everything, delegate more, automate more, and build what I call what's commonly known as SOP, standard operating procedure. I didn't know what an SOP was for the first 7 years in business. What's a SOP? That means standard operating procedure. Now, why is that so important? Because everything lived here in my brain as an entrepreneur. Nope. Contract needs signed. I got it. Sale needs made. I got it. House needs sold. I got it. Paperwork needs done. I got it. Attorney needs called. I got it. Everything was, I got it. I'll figure it out, which is great in those first, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But to move into the 7-figure entrepreneur side of the business, you've got to get rid of those bad 6-figure entrepreneur habits. All right. So what that means is, how do I leverage money? How do I leverage money to get time? So what's the highest and best use of my time? For example, I'll use a real estate example. If an average deal can make you $20,000, and in order to get that $20,000, you need to talk to 100 sellers. Now, that's a lot of work. Got to have 100 freaking conversations. Not a bad payday, but it's a lot of work. Now, what if you could write a check for a couple grand or put it on a credit card or do something to get those leads, and instead of every 100 calls you close a deal, what if it's every 20 calls? You just bought back 80 calls worth of your time for $2 grand. Well, gosh, what if in that same time you could close twice as many deals because it's 20 calls to get a deal instead of 100, right? So implement that into your mind, into your business, no longer asking like, my gosh, I could do it over here myself and save a couple bucks, but instead saying, can I use leverage and get some of my time back and use that time to create more wealth or more of what I want to do?
Drew, let's break this down a lot simpler, right? For those, let's speak to our younger selves in entrepreneurship, and break down leverage at a higher level, or I guess I should say a more simpler level. So there's 3 types of leverage. There's time leverage, money leverage, and network leverage.
This is good.
Andrew explained it in a higher sense. Let's break it down a little bit more for time leverage for those who might not have a team, for those who might not be in a position, right, to build an expansive scaled company, but those who are solopreneurs and who are saying, okay, I get this, Andrew. I get this, Leo. This makes a lot of sense. This is cool. Yeah. But how do I start now? How do I start stepping into this today?
So for me, it began with saying, how do I better use my time? Right? I'll give you an example. So back to a real estate example. If I know I can call and close deal, isn't that tea incredible, by the way?
It is really good. Just spilled it everywhere, though.
Really good tea today. Good choice. So if I can do calls and close a deal, let's say you sell software services, you sell CRMs, you sell anything. If I can close a deal and make $5,000, is it better use of my time to go close the deal and make $5,000 or to spend 3 hours trying to figure out how to build a freaking website? Well, I should go make some more calls and get another $5K and maybe hire somebody to do the same thing who already knows how to do that website for $1,000. If I can make $5,000 and spend $1,000 to get that time back, that means I'm $4 grand ahead. So how do I leverage my time? My time means how do I use the least amount of time to get the most amount of result? That was a tough one for me because I was a do-it-yourself guy, right? I'll go out, I'll change the oil in my own car, I'll fix it if it goes wrong, I'll change my own tire, I'll plug the hole in my tire, I'll fix the lawnmower, I'll do whatever I need to do because I didn't value my time. I didn't understand time value. I just understood stuff has to get done and it's how we flow. We do whatever it takes. So understand the value of your time, and that comes, of course, in direct accordance with your high income skill we talk so much about.
So learning to delegate, learning to automate processes, and thinking in this way, right? The whole point of this show today, this episode, is to take a step back and say, okay, how can I start thinking like a seven-figure entrepreneur would? How can I think as the best version of myself? Maybe the person 2 years from now who is building a great business, who is leading a great family, who is leading a great team, how would they think?
Yeah.
Can I future pace myself into that now and start operating in that way? Would that person 2 years from now do everything? Probably not. They would probably take a step back and ask themselves the question, who can get this done?
Yeah.
Or is there a process? How many times was this done? Maybe 50 times. Can you create a process, an SOP, a standard operating procedure that you can create to give to your team so they can do it without needing to bother you?
Right.
And that is the greatest skill set of thinking in that manner, of thinking in time leverage. But that moves us over to number 2, guys, which is money leverage. Andrew, cover that.
Now, money leverage is a whole different frame of thinking, because if we can start to value our time, we can kind of make sense of that, right? I can go make some money. I can go use my time to do. Got it. Money leverage, I often ask people, because I recommend everybody gets business lines of credit. If you can get 0% interest money, if you could get $100,000 today of 0% interest money, and I just wired you the money today and said, it's 0%, just give me $100K back in 12 months. Who here thinks that you could take that $100,000 and make more money with it? Give me a yes in the chat, right? If you think I could wire you $100,000, you would go make money with that. You'd make a profit, and in 12 months, bring it back to me, $100,000 interest free. I would say everybody on here would say, I'm in. I'll go buy leads. I'll go do deals. I'll go invest it in crypto. No, probably not a good idea. Maybe invest some in crypto, invest some in the stock market. I'll do whatever it is. And I know I can turn this to more money. But the challenge is, if we've not proven to ourselves that we'll take that time and that leverage and go make it make us money, we don't yet, most of the time, fully trust ourselves. So everyone says, yeah, I get the concept. I'm good to do this. But when it comes to actually borrowing against my future, now I'm not talking about consumer debt. I'm not talking about borrowing $20,000 to go on a private jet trip, right? I'm not talking about borrowing consumer debt. I'm talking about borrowing against the future in a way that allows you to grow. So maybe that means I'm going to buy leads. Maybe that means I'm going to leverage an asset, a house, if you're in real estate. Maybe that means I'm going to use this card to pay for a couple of months or 3 months of my living while I go get my clients lined up, because I'm clear on what I need to do. And buying this time with 0% credit line means that I'm able to buy into my future. Because what happens when we start to make money many times is we need to take care of today's needs. So we work all month to do that. And then by the time the month's over and by the time the money's gone, we got to start doing it again. But if we can figure out how to take care of today's needs and use our high income skill to make future money, oh my gosh, the whole world opens up to us. But that's a new world for so many people. So if we can start to understand how to use our high income skill, our time, to make chunks of money, married with money leverage. For simplicity's sake, imagine that you can borrow money and go buy properties. 0% interest, you could go buy a property, and the property's worth $300 and you could get it for $150. Holy cow. How many of those could you buy? Now you have leveraged the $150,000 you had at your fingertips in order to get double that in potential profit, right? 150 could turn to 300 in that example. Now, of course, you're probably going to have work. There's all sorts of nuances. But the more we can understand about money leverage, borrowing against our future in a business way, not as consumer debt, but in a business way, the whole world can open up to us in a way we never believed possible. But it all starts with trusting ourselves.
So time leverage, money leverage. Last one being network leverage, because Andrew, this is something I didn't understand for so long, figuring out the first two, right? How do I figure out money leverage? How do I figure out time leverage? How do I figure out what to do with my time? But when I understood first network leverage, that's what gave me the access and ability to be around the proximity of people who knew this stuff.
Now, I learned so much from you about network leverage, and I'm excited for you to share with everybody about this, because when we met and started hanging out, I would just watch you go to events and network and connect with people in such a powerful but pure way of just genuinely wanting to give value. And I think there's so much to learn that.
Yeah, we'll have a whole topic on this soon. I want to make sure we stay in line and go throughout the rest of this topic, because we have a lot of important things to go over.
Yes.
So time leverage, money leverage, network leverage. Network leverage is essentially utilizing the people around you, having a servant mentality to help other people, adding value to other people, because every relationship is a value exchange, right? Even if we're just good friends supporting each other, that support is a value exchange.
Right.
So when we understand that as the principle and the foundation of every single network, every single person in your life, then you can ask yourself, how can I add more value? How can I be more of a servant's heart? So I want to bring us back. The 7-figure mindset shifts. We went over leverage over hustle, but I want to make sure we cover the next two, which is pressure is a privilege, and then how to get your mindset from cost to investment. So let's go over to pressure is a privilege. How beginner entrepreneurs think is, I just want things to be easy.
Yeah.
I just want to be comfortable.
That was me for years.
I just want it to be simple. I don't want any challenges to come up. Now, how 7-figure earners think, how leaders think, how I guess you would call it the 1% think, is the bigger the pressure, the bigger the reward. Pressure equals growth. Type it in the chat, guys. Pressure equals growth.
People of wealth, the 1%, run in when everyone else runs out.
So if whatever you're going through, and I know some of you on here are going through a lot of different things, but whatever it is that you're going through, if it forces you to level up your thinking, if it forces you to expand, if it forces you to level up your leadership and decision making, it's one of the greatest things that can happen for you. But that only really happens through pressure, right? If everything's going great, you're having a great time, life is good, things are moving, you don't really grow. So I put it down here. If you can't handle 10K problems, you'll never get to 100K problems.
That's so true.
So Andrew, a question for you is, right now we're going through so many different projects.
Yeah.
We're handling a lot of different avenues in our lives, both personally, business-wise, spiritually, a lot of different avenues.
Yeah.
You're stressed, but you're not crazy stressed. But explain that process, because probably 3 years ago, if you were going through the same things, you would have crumbled under pressure.
Yeah, I think for pressure is a privilege. It's a cool little saying, but when you actually start to believe that, I just realized that when you put it on that camera, all you can see is TRU. That's awesome.
Where? Oh, in your.
So when it comes to understanding that for what it is, what is pressure is a privilege? What does that actually mean? Well, it means that I look at the pressures that come, and literally it happens. We was tested so many times in the last several weeks of big opportunities that came and big challenges we get to solve. And so out of these challenges, when they used to happen at smaller levels, I would constantly look at them and go, oh my gosh, like what if I got to figure this out and then I've got to figure this out? And I believed that there would just come this time that the problems would just go away. And now I realize that every level is a higher intensity of the challenge that we get to solve. So what that means to me is saying, all right, it's another opportunity to level up. Where's the opportunity here? Is this just a test to help me build the rep for the next level? Or is this an opportunity that's maybe it don't go as planned, yet it's a new opportunity to go do more or make more money or help more people or impact more, right? And so everything that I look at now, I look at as opportunity. And it's a test of leadership. It's a test of decision making. That's why I challenge people all the time, those of you who are in the mastermind know this, to make the decision quickly. And you're going to make the wrong one sometimes, and that's okay too. But make the freaking decision. Do the deal or don't do it, right? Decide to move the project or don't move the project forward. Decide to take the trip and go to the event or don't do it if you're going to not do it. But make your mind up and stick with that decision. Now, I share that. Of course, you may gather new data and change the decision, and that's okay too. But if we can make decisions quickly and actually be okay accepting that responsibility, oh my gosh, the whole world starts to open up to us. Because what happens in business is if we get jammed up in a decision or we get jammed up in an email and we, oh my gosh, I got to fix this. I got to respond to this email. Well, by the time we get it responded to, there's 8 more waiting to be responded to, right? So how do we move from, I got to survive this pressure to saying, thank you, God, I must be getting ready for higher levels?
So question for you guys is, what is one area where you've been avoiding pressure instead of stepping into it? Is there a place in your life where stress is high, and because of that, you're saying, okay, let me go to this other area of my life because it's not as stressful?
Yeah.
You know, we've had a crazy week, crazy 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And because a lot of stress is there, I remember I would have gone and went to see friends instead of working because my friends didn't stress me out. I would avoid it. I would avoid it so many times until I realized that stress is not bad. It is just feedback that you're growing.
Oh, that's good.
And the more we lean into that, the more we stop avoiding stress and learn to manage it, now we're able to get to bigger levels. This is something that you and I get to experience on any given day now because we're able to manage stress so much. We're like, I'm right now not too stressed. Yeah. There's a lot going on, right? But because I'm able to manage a lot of the things that I have going on. Same for you. I don't know how you're handling it right now because you have so many different things going on, and I see it. 40 different calls in time that you don't have, but you're able to manage it so well because you've built the systems and team around you and around us to be able to manage it.
Well, I think there's a couple of pieces. Number one is the mindset around stress. I was reading a book years ago, and I was reading a billionaire. Some of you may have heard the name. It's first name was Donald Trump. Donald Trump. I was reading his books. Taught me a lot about business years ago when I read them, and I remember a quote in there, and it said something along the lines of, your wealth creation will be in direct alignment or correlation with how you deal with pressure. And he told the story of one of his friends who started making money, but just couldn't deal with the pressure, just didn't want to deal with the problems. And it was very interesting because you hear us say on this show a lot, like, develop alligator skin, be okay with challenge. And so as we realize that it's not about avoiding stress, it's about embracing it. It's not about saying, gosh, I just need things to be easier. It's saying, gosh, I need to become better. And I think that's a powerful example, something you're seeing play out on a very high level right now. Elon Musk is running countless, I don't know how many, multiple multi-billion-dollar companies and doing a bunch of other stuff. And you look at that pressure that he must be facing, and you're going, holy crap, like, how does the guy do it? Love him or hate him, like, he's dealing with a lot of pressure. There must be some mental tenacity going on. And so I think that's a powerful example. Look at people who are succeeding. Look at people who are at a level of success that you attain to be at least closer to. I never intend to be worth $400 billion necessarily. But as you're looking at the pressure someone's under, you're going, oh my gosh, how can I learn from that? And how can I use some of the things that they are doing to deal with pressure? So back to where we are now. And I'm going, hey, it's new opportunities. It's new paths to be able to go down to help more people, to make more money, to do more deals. And every one of those things, tremendous opportunity. And how cool we get an adventure to figure it all out together.
You're exactly right. What you guys are going through could be the biggest blessing in your life, but it's your choice to see it in that way. And I want to invite you to think in that way. Think, hey, what is this going to teach me? What is this going to do for me? What could this create for my life? How much better of a leader am I going to be because of all the stress that I'm going through? How much more am I going to be able to manage because of all the stress that I'm going through? That is pressure as a privilege. And I want to recap us just for a moment. We went over leverage over hustle. We went over pressure as a privilege. And I want to make sure that we go over how to think from cost to investment, because this is the one thing that changed my mentality from scarcity to abundance. This is the one thing that got me to actually now at 22 be able to understand money at such a high level, where I was forced into a position. I wouldn't say forced. I was put into a position of leadership where if I didn't do my task, if I didn't understand abundance, if I didn't step into that role, then people, team members, families wouldn't have gotten fed. And that right there is another step when it comes to pressure. When you put yourself in a role, when you force yourself to win, when you give yourself no other option, sometimes you have to figure it out. And that was what happened to me. When I was 18, Andrew and I partnered on a couple of projects, and I had to handle them. And I had no idea what I was doing. But what it did for me was it put so much pressure on me. It put so much angst into me that I said, hey, there's no other way around it. You might as well just lean into it, right? There's always this quote, no pressure, no diamonds. I say that to myself all the time. No pressure, no diamonds. No risk, no goodies, right? And you have to continually let yourself know, like, you're in a great place to have pressure. You are so blessed to be stressed.
That's funny.
And it's a mentality that you really switch into. I thank God for the pressure. I thank God for the stress. And I also give that stress to him, right? I give that stress every single morning to God. God, take this stress off of me. Allow me to give me the strength, give me the wisdom, give me the discernment to grow, to know what to do. God, give Andrew the discernment, all these things, right? We have to pray for those things. And we have to know how to lay that anxiety down and lay that fear down, if we have any of that, to God, because God doesn't give us fear.
Absolutely. Cast all our cares on him because he cares for us.
100%.
Tells us. I think that's a powerful example, Leo, as we step into next levels of business. Because as any of you, no matter what level, if you're going from, I have to know what's funny. I have to know what's funny, brother. Share it with the crew.
I got to change this camera angle. Andrew has to straddle this table because this angle doesn't help him out too much. I don't know how to. You're out of luck. I'll fix it tomorrow. Keep going.
Oh, that's good. So I'm sitting here, in a very interesting position, so the cameras look right. So that yes. So what do? We deal with what comes along and we fix it. We fix it when we remember.
Absolutely.
But another real estate example is I look at the deals. In the old mentality would have been, oh gosh, I need to, years ago when I was starting, I need to stop buying until I get this one paid off. Well, then I would be on house number 4, right? Over the last decade. But the abundance, the wealthy mentality says, no, I need to leverage good deals with low and no interest debt to acquire a portfolio that will eventually pay itself off. In the meantime, I get cash flow, checks, appreciation, depreciation, all of the benefits. So stop asking, how much does this cost me? And ask, how much can this make me? Type it in the chat. How much can this make me? And I'm going to drive this point home by making the example. Who here realizes there's people who have knowledge that all of us don't yet have, right?
Yes.
So there is some things that I know that Leo don't yet know. There's some things Leo knows that I don't yet know. You guys know certain things. All of you have pieces of knowledge. All right. So if there is someone who has knowledge that I don't, and I have knowledge someone don't, then how do we connect in a way that makes sense? Of course, for me, that's why we pay 6 figures a year to be in masterminds around other people who are further ahead in certain categories of our life, closer to where we want to be, right? So if I am doing 5 figures a month, I want to be around people who's doing 6 figures a month. When I'm doing 6 figures a month, I want to be around people who are doing 7 figures a month. When I'm doing 7 figures a month, I want to be around people who are doing 8 figures a month. And that's just the money example. What about health? What about happiness? What about family? What about all these other aspects where I can continually be growing and stop asking, what will this cost me? And just ask, what can this make me? Meaning, if I come across a deal, another real estate example, that's worth $300,000 and I can borrow $200 on that house and it cash flows because I'm getting low or no interest debt and it makes sense and I can get paid every time I acquire one. How many of those can I buy till I run out of money? All of them. I won't run out of money. Why? Because I can go acquire these assets with massive equity, get paid for buying them, cash flow them, and one day get paid when I sell them. That's just one example. How many mentorships and masterminds do we want to invest in? The answer is, of course, time commitment. So there's that limitation. But when we invest, one of the masterminds that we are in is $100,000 for a year. We invest $100,000. Should that come back as $1 million? Well, gosh, we would be idiots not to invest that $100,000. So understanding that flow of money, type it in the chat, flow of money. Because again, as people of wealth, we don't ask, what does this cost us? We ask, how much can it make us? That's why we have team. That's why we have payroll. That's why we have incredible team in the Philippines as well, who we pay every single month, every single week to help them get closer to their goals, their family, what they're building. And in turn, they help us build what we're building. Everybody wins.
Type in the chat, allocate capital.
Capital allocation.
When I discovered this mentality of allocating capital, I started to learn how to steward and move my money around in a proper way, right? Because of course we have to learn how to create income, and then we have to learn how to grow that money, and then we have to learn how to manage that money really well. And when I got in a really, really tight space, I was so geared to say, like, everything's too expensive. This is too expensive. I can't make enough. I don't have enough. But then I started to think in this mentality of someone who's able to allocate capital in a correct way. And I just reallocated what I had, which was not very much in that time, to a different place to invest that money, right? And I started to make a lot more.
And I like what you said there, because that removes the emotion, right? Allocating capital is much different than taking my last $8.
Right.
and I share that.
Allocate these $8 for a burger.
Because as you detach the emotion from the thing, it becomes much easier to make smart decisions.
Absolutely. Like think about ads, right? If you have a great product and you spend $1,000 on ads and you make $5,000 back, was it an expense that was too expensive, or was it an investment? Did you allocate that capital back into ads, which made you $5,000 back? But if you had asked yourself, like, hey, this is too expensive for me, if you told yourself rather that this is too expensive, you wouldn't have allocated that capital in a correct manner and it wouldn't have come back. How many times do we push away opportunities because we think something is too expensive, or we don't look at how we can just allocate our time or resources or money into creating a better ROI for ourselves?
That's powerful. Whether it's investing in yourself or an asset or business or marketing or your brand, any of those places you can put capital that comes back with babies, whether that be giving you more time back or whether that be giving you more money back. Oh my gosh, that is a secret hack of the wealthy. Invest builds true wealth.
Let your money go have some fun and come back with more.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys. So you're saying, Leo and Andrew, I get it. you're going over a lot of great things. You're talking about the mindset shifts. Okay, my mindset is shifting. I'm feeling it. I'm getting it. This all makes sense. But how do I actually implement this? What are the habits of those 7-figure earners? And how do they operate differently? Like, how do people who make 7 figures, how do people who are great leaders, how do the 1% operate differently? Let's break down those habits, Andrew.
And as we break this down, I think it's important to note, when I started the business, I was like, I get all of that cool stuff about 7-figure entrepreneurs and doing what works for other people, but I got to go get another $10,000 paycheck. Like, I need money to pay my freaking bills this month. If I can get $2K, I'm going to be good, right? And I went in with that mindset. And so what I'm about to share with you, the sooner you get this, the sooner this makes sense and you can implement, the better your life will be. So Kaizen means growing at least 1% better every single day. So I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about direct communication, dealing with the hard things, dealing with the hard topics. Sometimes, especially as people of wealth, as leaders, whether you're a leader in your company, leader in your home, leader in your family, whatever that place of leadership is, you've got to have direct communication and know how to communicate directly. Yelling at people and calling them bad names doesn't get a desired result. So have direct and good communication and then execute relentlessly.
So let's break this down in a rapid fire pace, guys. It's 12:46. I'm excited. I'm excited to go through these. Number 1, guys, type in the chat Kaizen. Kaizen is this Japanese philosophy that means continuous improvement. This is the idea of that person who never stops learning. They continually invest in themselves. They continually read. They continually take courses, get into mentorships, and create experiences for themselves where they create wisdom. Now, what you're going to see on the right side is the Kaizen diagram that we built, right? Which is basically identify, plan, execute, reflect, adjust, and repeat. We'll talk about that on another show. I just want you guys to understand the philosophy of it. I want you guys to understand the idea of Kaizen, which is essentially, hey, when you're doing something, if you have your business, if you have the goal that you want to have, you must think, how can I get 1% better in that craft? What are the ingredients of a successful person in your field? Let's say, for example, for us as educators, as trainers, the skill sets are marketing. The skill sets are sales. The skill sets is coaching, empathy, communication. So if I understand that those are my 5 skills that I need to create, how can I get 1% better in that every day? And when you have that mentality, now you don't have any more lack of clarity. You just have a focused direction for where you're going to go. Now, I'm going to break down just super simply, just super fast, the right side diagram. When you identify that, that's what we just did. Hey, what are those 5 main traits? What are those 5 main skill sets? Then you plan around it. Okay, how do I get better at communication? Could I read a book? Could I go take a course? Could I watch YouTube videos, watch a podcast? Or can I go to a coffee shop, talk to 5 people a day? I don't know. Plan it out. Once you plan it out, then you execute. Hey, okay, I'm going to go to a coffee shop at 2 p.m. and talk to 5 people there. Then you're going to reflect on that. Hey, how was that? I talked to 5 people. I got ignored by 2, but 3 of them really liked me. Okay, cool. What happened with those 3 versus the 2? And then you adjust. Oh, I noticed that with those 2 people, they were on the phone. Okay, let me not do that next time. Let me adjust and repeat. And then I can identify again what it is that I need to do. That is Kaizen. Now, Andrew, let's break down this idea of what you consume equals what you become.
So I like to ask myself, what books am I reading? Or who am I learning from? Where am I gathering information and how is that affecting me? What's the conversations I'm having every single day? Who's the people that I'm around? And so if I'm thinking of it in this way, I can ask myself, number 1, what am I intaking through my eye gate, my eyes? What am I taking in from the books or the videos I'm watching, right? And then who am I learning from? Are they closer? Because plenty of broke people out there will try to tell you how to get rich, meaning they maybe had success one time on one thing, and they immediately go telling you this this formula. And I think it's so important to consider the source. Now, if someone's given me family advice of how to be a good family man, then I want to make sure that person is living the life that is at least reasonably close to where I want to be. If I'm listening to financial advice, I want to make sure that it's somebody who's closer to the financial outcome that I'm looking for than I am. All right. As we're looking at this and saying, all right, now this is so important. Who am I surrounded by? Who am I talking to on a consistent basis? We collaborate every single day. Leo and I are on the same page. Every single day we're collaborating and communicating. And we very intentionally handpick the people that we choose to hang around and continually have conversations with to create constant growth.
Don't let just about anyone speak into your life, because they can put poison in your life, or they can lift you up.
Where is it coming from? I've had people I used to listen to who I thought had my best interest in mind, and I found out it was the direct opposite. So I was taking advice from people and then taking actions that were sabotaging me because I believed and trusted in the wrong person, the wrong people. So it's so important. Consider the source. Know where the information is coming from, and then implement swiftly.
So then in this context of understanding seven-figure earners, which let's just get into this context of a great leader, a great business owner, right? As most of you want to become. Who can I learn from then who is a great business owner? Who can I read from, right? Maybe there's people who have passed before who are incredible business owners in the past. And then what conversations are you having daily? Me and Andrew, we talk every single day, and I talk to probably 2 to 3 other people on a daily basis, and there's people I talk to weekly. But I make sure each of those people are ones that I trust, ones that I've established a great relationship with, where either we talk about business, or we're talking about God, or we're talking about the right things that move me forward in the life that I want to create. Because again, what you consume is what you become. The people around you, you're going to start thinking like them. I want to make sure that the only people around me are people that I want to think like, that I would say, okay, cool. I would trade lives with you for a day. Yeah. Me and Andrew live the same life, so I'm cool with it.
We trade life for a day.
So really,
I just wonder what perspective is from 6 foot tall. That's the main reason I want to trade lives.
I want to
for a day,
and I'll have the perspective of what it's like to have a beard. That'll be the diff. Okay, so guys, that is Kaizen. Let's move on to direct communication. I have 3 points here that I put.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5.
Get to the point.
Get to the point. Don't fluff. Just say what you want to say. I was such a passive person because I was raised around passive people until I realized that it's getting me nowhere. I keep hitting walls. People don't actually understand what I'm saying. I'm not painting a picture for them with the thousands of words dancing around the actual topic.
Right.
So then I learned to just be assertive. Ask for what I want. This is where I'm at. Here's how much it costs. This is what it's going to do for you. What do you say?
Yeah. And by the way, go a little deeper on be assertive. What does that mean? Assertive, not passive, because you're very effective in the way that you're direct communicating. I've seen other people, including myself when I first started, and I was very ineffective when I attempted to be direct. You know, looking at a team member and being like, you suck at your job. It didn't get the desired result.
Yeah. So people associate assertive to being an asshole, right? It's like being that person that's just like, Andrew, and I do this sometimes, but but when you're assertive, you simply get to the point. You simply tell them what's going on. And no, I'm not going to use you as an example. Josh, I feel like you're going through something right now. What's happening? Are your performance has ducked quite a bit. What's going on? I want to be here with you, right? That is still assertive. I'm not saying you suck. You're not doing good. Get out of here. I'm simply, as a leader, saying, hey, I'm with you. I see it. Here's the truth. Here's what's happening. I've noticed your performance go down quite a bit. What is happening?
In sales, it would be saying, what is the only thing stopping you from going ahead and moving forward, right? Just be direct. Ask the direct questions. Say the direct thing.
So don't dance around things. Just figure out what your outcome is and then do the least amount possible to get to that outcome. And I'm careful of saying that because in a sales call, for example, I want to get to know who the person is. So I'll ask them questions. I'll get to understand what they need, what their challenges are, who they've learned from before, what is holding them back. But each of those will be an assertive question. I will be very assertive. I will never be passive with the things that I want. And with friendships is the same thing. With sales is the same thing. With relationships is the same thing. With everything, it is the same thing. When you just become someone who knows exactly what you want, things come to you quite a bit faster every single time.
Yeah.
So practice, guys. Practice being assertive. Type in the chat, be assertive.
Now, last thing on the list. What else are we covering before we wrap up?
Last one is relentless execution. How broke entrepreneurs execute is they overthink, they hesitate, and like myself that I was before, they are a perfectionist.
Yep.
They don't have the philosophy of done over perfect. Yeah. Instead, they need it to be perfect before they start. How 7-figure earners execute is they prioritize. They're able to brain dump and delegate those tasks that they don't need to be doing in the moment. Right. And then they're able to execute at the highest level. Done is better than perfect.
That's powerful, guys. If you can adapt the mindset of saying, hey, I'm going to do what it takes to get this thing done. Because imagine I would have waited to buy my first property until I understood everything that could go wrong and how to fill out the purchase agreement, how to close the deal, and how many documents I needed to close the deal, and what I was going to do when I sell it, and how I sell it, and what I say when I sell it. Now, how am I going to sell it? How much money am I going to? Of course, you're going to underwrite. You're going to be smart with the deal. But I didn't need to know everything. I needed to take a step at a time. Imagine that I decided to wait until I was perfect at speaking to post my first video. I would still be waiting. I'm still not perfect at speaking. But I get on here every day and I say some words that hopefully help, encourage, and inspire you. And I'm way better and better looking than I was 4 years ago.
I love it. Guys, I want to leave you guys with something that was similar to yesterday, but I know some of you guys did it. I know some of you guys did not do it. But execution is at the core of this, right? When we purely execute, when we purely get things done, when we look at Kaizen, right? Identify the thing that you have to do, plan around it, then execute, then reflect and adjust, and then do it again. When we can understand that that is our pathway as an entrepreneur, that is our pathway as a leader, that is everything we're doing is focused on that aspect of execution. So we made for you, very simple, a 3-step execution formula, which is the same one as yesterday. Number 1, brain dump. Don't use your mind as an office. It's not meant to be an office. It's not meant to hold all those file cabinets of to-dos. You have paper for that. You have software for that. You have texts for that. Get everything out of your head onto paper. Okay. Number 2, type in the chat, prioritize. What is one thing that moves the needle the most? You're going to come up with 10, 20, 30 things out of your brain dump. But then your job is to prioritize, because we can brain dump all day and say, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Do it again the next day. Okay, I'm overwhelmed. But then the moment that you prioritize is the moment you say, okay, I'm going to plan what I need to do. What's the one thing that moves the needle the most? Now you have that one thing. Now you know what's going to move you forward. And all you have to do is to execute. But you see, guys, with this mentality, there is no lack of clarity. There is simply clarity. There is simply crystal clear access of what you need to do. And then you can execute relentlessly. You can focus, you get rid of distractions. That's the most important. That is a very important part. And you get it done, because every single one of you guys want to execute. That's what we do. As humans, that's all we do. We execute. We do. But when you don't know what to execute on, when you don't have clarity of what to execute on, you'll never really move forward. So if you take, guys, what we went over today of the 7-figure mindset shift, leverage over hustle, understanding that pressure is a privilege, you want to have pressure, and then going from, hey, what is the cost, right, to what is it going to make me? You understand the habits now, right? Kaizen. You understand direct communication, how to be assertive, how to know what you want and get what you want. Now it's all about execution and executing every single day on what you know to do.
That's powerful. And as you put together that or start to implement the things that Leo just laid out for you, you'll notice every day things start to make a little more sense. Every day you come out, get to hang out here with us. We get to have a fun time together, and you notice every day you get a little better. you organize a little better, you have a little better mindset around investing in yourself, investing and creating time with your money rather than the other way around. So it's just a constant progression that's going to happen as we continue to hang out.
That's what this whole show is about. It's so me and Andrew can practice these ideas that we're teaching that we do for our businesses on a continuous basis. And we could just have a show where we implement this onto. I hope that you guys can tell there's a little bit more preparation that goes into these shows now. And we are continually getting better. And we're going to start outsourcing. We're starting to get some people to handle this crazy switcher that I have. And I wish you guys can see the craziness that goes on. And I hope that we play it off well, that everything's going smoothly, because that's also something that's also part of it, right? Be able to be smooth and handle the pressure as it comes up. So guys, figure out what you need to do, brain dump, prioritize, execute, and you're going to be in a great place. We're going to be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, 3 p.m. Eastern time, the Truka Show. We'll see you very soon, guys.
See you then, guys. Bye for now.
Peace.